society was created, so we can bring students together to make games. So that led towards the game jam that we're having now, and we've got lots of people coming in, having fun, and just making games. So.
This is our first game jam, and honestly I found it really exciting. It's a great experience, and yeah, just throw yourself in at the deep end and see what you learn from it. So.
Yeah, it's really great to just kind of jump in and sort of throw yourself into it with we've never done anything like this before, so we just straight away, just off the bat, just learn as fast as you can and get on with it, I suppose.
We had a show and tell where we had some other students from the university come and play our game, see what we're doing, and it went really well. We had a few people come and give us advice, some people played it and just gave us their thoughts, and it was really helpful. We've taken ideas from them to help improve what we're going to do.
It was nice to see their reactions for what the first view of the game was for them, instead of just looking at the game.
Yeah, that's useful.
So this is our first game jam. At the start we weren't really sure what we're doing exactly, but then we kind of all fell into our own roles. Jasmine was doing the level design and some of the artwork. Carol here was mainly doing most of the artwork. I was the lead programmer. As I said, it started a bit rough, but slowly it's getting better. And yeah, it's pretty good.
Do you want to do I have a countdown, or should I just
Manage start.
Alright, some of my first thoughts when I heard the theme were that it was just incredibly broad. I mean, the word changes just has so much scope. So I think we've actually done really well in narrowing it down to an actual concept. That doesn't make sense.
Coding is was the responsibility of being the lead programmer. So as a lead programmer, programming the game structure is probably the soul of the entire game, and it's very important. Lots of pressure, but I think I can handle it. At the moment we are encountering some serious problems with movement. But I'm sure with more research and more thinking, we can tackle the problem.
Our team is called Team Win. When we first had the theme change, we decided that we're going to do something along the lines of a chameleon, because a chameleon changes colour based on its surroundings. So if we go into the game here, as you can see, you start off like a chameleon, just green. As soon as you eat a red bug, you become red. And now since you are red, you are able to walk across the red platforms. If you eat a different colour, you become that colour. So I just ate yellow, so I became yellow. And now I'm no longer red, so I will fall through this platform. The aim of the game is basically to just get as many bugs as possible and then reach the end of the level. So here the platform's green, so I'll fall through it. Here it's blue. Just go here, it's green again. So here we'll fall through no matter what. So the best tactic here is to just grab as many bugs as possible and increase your score. Here the platform's yellow, so if I walk through it now, I'll fall through it. But I ate this bug here. As you can see, I walk through it, my score increases. Same with this one here.
We also decided to make it accessible for colourblind people, so we added patterns as well on the colours. So the matching patterns refer to the colour of the chameleon and also the colour of the leaves and of the bugs. So even if you can't distinguish between the colours, you can still understand what's going on.
Yes, so as you can see here, you've got this purple kind of squiggly line on the yellow one, and here on the yellow leaf you also have a purple squiggly line. So you walk across it. There is also a path you could take if you don't decide not to eat any of them, which is the green path. And here's the end level here. And then the game, it displays you your score. Yeah, you win. I think this portrays the theme of change quite well, as throughout the gameplay you obviously change colours, but also throughout different play sessions you can change basically which path you take. You could take during one play session you could decide to go across. During another play session you might decide to go down. So it adds a lot of value to the replayability. And as Jazz mentioned, we also considered the fact that some colourblind people may play in our game. So we decided to make sure that the chameleon had patterns, that the leaves had patterns, so that even if you can't distinguish the colours too well, you can at least see the patterns and still enjoy the game just as much as someone who is not visually impaired. Anything to add? No? No, that's everything. Thank you.
Hi, we're Charlie's Angels, and our game that we've made here is Thermo Star. So when we first saw the concept of change and such, we first kind of thought of a game like a seasonal game, thinking towards like a God mode sort of thing. But we ended up on the topic of making a platformer where the nature and the abilities of your character changes depending on a dial. So as you can see here in the gameplay that's coming up, we have two kind of characters. So the starting one here is Fireman, as we've dubbed him, a little fire character that can double jump. In addition to this, he has all the kind of normal slew of platforming things. These were the things that we first focused on as we started to make our game, knowing that good controls and good kind of management and being able to navigate around the play space is going to make for a good game. In addition to this, we introduced lethal spikes. We felt like we took a lot of inspiration from things like Super Meat Boy and Mario, kind of knowing that having these little things to interact with on the screen would again make for engaging gameplay. So then the counterpart to Fireman here is Iceman. So Iceman cannot double jump or do his little air dash, but however he can do little slides here, which we're going to get pull off, and he can also wall jump. So if we'll just go back down there, we'll show off the wall jumping. So this is two different mechanics of getting around the play space. But it introduces a really interesting kind of play style where you're watching the dial as it spins round, which we're going to see in this last level, kind of trying to judge which character you're going to be and what abilities are going to be available to you. We're really happy with what we achieved in the game so far. We had a lot of ideas that we could bring to the table, and we kind of pulled in all different directions. We wanted to initially have an interact button dependent on your character, which would change the surroundings depending on your mode. However, we kind of figured out that we're not going to have time for that, and we really focused in on just making the gameplay as smooth as possible. We've got lots of ideas. One of the collectibles, we're figuring out that with all this different way of moving, we can try and do time trials and such. But yeah, overall, we're really proud of what we've put out.
We're Team Zephyrd, and our game is Climate Meltdown. It's a game that aims to raise awareness for climate change issues in our world today. So we have a start menu and with buttons that launches the game. The main aim of the game is to escape the melting ice, which is falling away behind you automatically. Our character is a penguin, and he is in the melting, deformed Arctic, which has, factories and stuff being constructed, oil spills, that sort of thing, and the aim of the game is that he's trying to save his family without falling into the ocean, which is really polluted with oil spills and all that sort of stuff. One of the biggest things about our game is that we tried to really work on the aesthetic. We wanted it to look quite hand-drawn and unique. Our penguin is animated with jump animations, idle animations, walking animations, and crouch animations. This gives our game a bit more life to it, really. It's not static images or anything like that. There are lots of different obstacles in the game, different kinds of jumps. You have to crouch to get through certain areas, and the sizes of blocks that you stand on vary as well. The game gets more difficult the further you get. That we did intend to have obstacles such as oil spills, rubbish, but it's a bit more harder to implement. We also planned to have the penguin collect litter from the Arctic, and as a sort of scoring system, how much litter they collect. But in the end, we decided that escaping from impending doom of the melting Arctic was a lot more fun. If you could see on the screen, occasionally we passed by some fish. Fish were intended to be a power-up, in which the penguin would have a speed boost, and there would be oil spills which would reduce the penguin's speed. Those also proved to be difficult to implement, so instead we decided to strip the game down basic and have the key core of the game simply escaping from the melting ice.
That's okay. Our team name is UoB. This is our game, Change Arena. Now, the theme, which was change, for our game, we had an arena-based game where there are two factions, red and blue, both being circles, and the objective of the player is to basically change sides and attack the rival enemies and not get killed by these mobs. So the objective was to keep changing between sides and survive.
So the storyline behind it was, for the narrative was that it was a bit silly and fun. Was that Mum and Dad were arguing, and that they both wanted you gone out of here. So they plotted an army against you, both of them, one red team and one blue team, and the objective was that you kill everyone because you're done with them and you just want out. So you switch teams and then try and remove everyone. A little bit of gameplay, we implemented the sword. We did want a slashing motion, but couldn't, within the time constraints, we couldn't quite get it implemented.
Because AI was quite difficult,
Yeah.
so we were trying to have something where the blue side would attack when your block was red, and then have when you change blue, only the reds would attack you. So it was always like trying to balance, with some AI, and then try to also have like a threat meter implemented. That's something else we wanted to try and implement, but we didn't have enough time to do it. So
we managed to get the defeat the defeat scene that was one of the most, was also quite important to us, because we felt that we wanted to make it an arcade indie quite difficult game, like Cuphead's quite difficult, so we wanted something along those lines. So we thought the defeat animation was quite fun to do.
Yeah, we went simplistic art.
Yeah,
no, we're not all great. We're not great artists and all that. So we just want to keep it quite simple, and hopefully, if we ever expand on it, we will have like more armies, more mobs involved, and try and make it more difficult, a bit of a balance between threat, and just try and balance it like that next time.
That's a big gameplay.
For this game jam, we had got given the theme of change. So our team decided to go with a game we like to call Neon Gravity Shifters. It's a very simple arcade-style game where you just press one button to change your gravity, and you change the gravity so that you can avoid the obstacles and get as high a score as possible. So it's just a spacebar control system, and you've got a trail coming out from behind your player who will tell you which direction your gravity is going, and various obstacles will come along the screen. Your score increases the further you go, and there are different obstacles. So here we've got some balls which go up and down with the gravity. You've got various different blocks. And here we've got a few triangles which are spikes. These are intended to kill the player if you hit them, so it's best to avoid them. We've got a neon-y style Tron soundtrack, which we think is fairly fun, and each of the each of the sets of obstacles are randomly generated as you play along. So we've So with our game and the concept of change, you went through a few ideas from things like evolution to climate change and various things like that. In the end, we decided to go with something that would be a lot simpler to make, and we went with changing of gravity, which is just a fun and simple thing to do. For our
so for playability, we decided choosing the simple game mechanic, changing the two things in gravity, with infinite objects being spawned, so that the playability was always going to be changing because the objects in scenery are always going to be changing. As for the visual impression,
I think with having gravity as our main concept, we found that very neon, spacey, futuristic theme worked well because that incorporated the gravity into the art style.
So as for narrative, we haven't got a whole lot of narrative, admittedly. It sort of comes from sort of like I guess the only narrative which we have comes from the visuals, but this wasn't really dedicated to the narrative, it's more about playability and the concept of
So for the replayability of the game, because we've got this art style, this arcadic, very high score getting style, I think that gives it makes you want to play it again so that you can get a higher score. Soundtrack. Bring video in.
Hear that wonderful soundtrack. Simple, arcadey, fits the theme. Very repetitive, what we sort of want. Sounds also for deaths, and what's it called for the gameplay background?
We've got a sound clip for each time you change gravity as well. A simple one. So that is the same. Creativity and accessibility. How unique is the game?
So creativity. I think it's creative as in the way in which we Alright, so accessibility when it comes to...
So yeah, this is the first game jam we've seen at the University of Brighton, and I think, I don't know if it's the same for you, but I've been surprised by how enthusiastic everyone is, how motivated they've been.
And you're Sandy.
Yes, sorry, I'm Sandy. And this
From which studios?
Yes. And they've all worked together really well as a team.
They've all got something, which is amazing for a game jam. They all have something at the end of it, and that is fantastic.
Yeah, like every game jam I've been to, half the teams don't actually get around to
really
finishing it.
Beat the odds on that one. Like,
and
there are real, like, diverse and interesting ways that they've interpreted the change brief as well. So
every team's got a unique idea, a unique spin on it. And the other thing that we were saying earlier is it's been really nice seeing that even though they're separate teams and they are competing, but also they're collaborating. They're making sure that all the other teams have every discipline that they need, helping out with tech issues.
It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, and it's been amazing having these. Everyone's got the workstations they need, everyone's got all the tools and the software they need, so they've just been able to get on with making the games that they want.
Yeah.
Okay.